Great textures, that. Really nice, ethereal feel to it. Hi, it's Burt here from Sample Library Review. Today we're going to be checking out Pulse Set of Sound's Dystopian Guitars. This is their latest release, and it's a wide-ranging hybrid guitar library. It's not your traditional metal, acoustic or rock type of library which seeks to replicate the instrument in its natural form, but it's far different from that, something a little bit special. And it covers a multitude of ground form, basically in acoustics, all the way to heavily mangled guitar chaos. Always with that cinematic and inventive edge that is a trademark of Pulse Set of Sounds. Now, they first got my attention a few years ago when they launched their Epic Babies library, which was a giveaway for a short time period. It was pretty crazy and really interesting. Since then, they have expanded their products rapidly, encompassing unique sample libraries and powerful sound sets. Always on the edgier, aggressive side of cinematic scoring tools, Dystopian Guitars is not that different. However, it does have its lighter moments, as we'll see when we dig in. The library takes all things string-based and mixes in a bunch of great outboard gear, wraps it up in a really creative contact interface. There are 6 main categories: solo instruments, pulses, shimmers, pads and ambiances, ensembles, and tools and effects. Dystopian Guitars is a contact library of just over 21 gigabytes, which is compressed down to 16. It requires the full version of Contact. There are 33 natural solo instruments, 86 unnatural solo instruments, 39 shimmers, 334 loops, 110 ensembles, 101 pads, 30 tools and effects instruments, 68 bonus sequences, a pulse designer and a pulse performer, that's in the contact interface, the quad note sequencer and arpeggiator, a gate and effects sequencer. And it normally sells for $199. Dystopian Guitars is divided into 6 categories. You can see them here on the left: ensembles, pads and ambiances, pulses, shimmers, solo instruments, tools and effects. We'll look at each one in turn, so you can see the range of stuff this library can do. I'll just play this patch a little bit and then we'll talk about the interface and how it all works. Just with one patch, we can go through quite a range of emotions there. Now, these ensembles are all based upon a layered system where we have a bunch of layers. This one's empty, but normally there's 4 layers in here. We've got acoustic guitar long. I'll play them individually just so you can get a little idea about what they're like when they're solo and then combine them. Fairly normal acoustic guitar. And apparently, I was reading in the manual that they sampled the acoustic guitars. They tuned the strings so they're always open, giving a nice kind of resonant, bright sound across the whole range. It's a nice approach. Now we've got a bowed guitar here. That's lovely kind of grit to the sound. And then a shimmer. And it's the combination of these patches with, you know, something that's moving, the shimmer, with something that's a bit of a drone, the bowed, and then something which is a bit more transient and can kind of play a melody. That's the beauty of these ensemble patches. The blending of these instruments together creates something really unique. You're not just getting an interesting attack, you're getting a lovely kind of tail fading off into the distance. Let's have a look at another one. Let's try Beat This. Heavy in process. This is where the dystopian thing kicks in, I think. Now, on the other side of it, let's see what Bright and Spacey can do. Really interesting. Now, I found by playing with this library, and I've only had a kind of about an hour or so on it before this little talk through, it isn't just dystopian, and it can do really quite light and beautiful sounds just as well as it can do really dark, mysterious types of sounds. Each of these 4 sections has the same controls. We've got solo mutes, we've got all the things you'd want basically, which is your volumes, your tunes, ADSR. And there's also a gate sequencer, which you can kind of draw in there just with your mouse. Below that, we have the key range of each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 corresponds to this. They're not all sampled across the entire keyboard, which means you can play some stuff really high up. That doesn't include some of these sounds. You can also just mute things as well if you kind of a patch that you're not so keen on. Now, I was clicking these before, hoping they're going to bring down some sort of stuff. So you can't really customize your own. Hopefully that might come in an update at some point, I'm not sure. But there's plenty of presets that you can play with anyway. And there's so much you can do just with your filters and your ADSRs, to be honest, before we even get into the other stuff. Such as the effects. So these are based on the global effect of all the 4 together. We've got filter, distortion, pan, lo-fi, reverb, and delay. The interesting thing is that we can sequence these as well, so we can have a little bit of a glitching out there, as a lo-fi would do. But we can program in any little pattern we like, so the effects can be automated really quite easily. And you've got rate and your steps there, which can help to clarify the length of your type of effect. All good. And the sequencer, which we will come on a little bit later when we look at the sequence patches. I'll just play a couple more and then we'll move on to the next section. Let's scroll down. See, we've got so many. It's really cool. Okay, well, this is based on a sequence, so we'll have a little look at this one. We can see here that the sequencer has been activated. To do so, they must be clicked in this section. And we've got everything going through the sequencer apart from the nylon sweel, I think it says. which has a kind of sequence itself, it's doing the gate thing. But everything else, is following that kind of pulsing sound there. Lonely Warrior. If anyone knows how to get rid of that little prompt every time, please comment below, because I've yet to find out a way to say, just have that not appear every time I switch patches after I've tweaked the patch. Nice little galloping type of thing going on. Sequence, we've got some delay there, which is pretty nice. Yeah, nothing's using sequence, even though it's got the note activated there. I think the pulse is coming from this kind of gate here. Right. Because there's so much to go through, we're going to quickly switch on to the next section of stuff, which is the pads and ambiances here. There's definitely some mangled guitars going on there. They all retain the nice organic vibe, which I like, because of course the instruments are natural themselves and you never really use that however much mangling you do. Some of the pad sounds are slightly different. The one we just saw there was layered bass. This one works on a different principle where we have two pads either side. Using the mod wheel, we fade in between the two. That the way we can start with a quite ominous pad with not much movement, and then we fade up to something that has a lot of tinkles in it with the shimmer there. Yeah, I was seeing if we could pull them down again. Not on this patch. You can on some of them, as we'll see later on. This is the third type of slight change in interface you'll see in the pads, where we actually have just a single pad, but it can still be morphed, and we use this to bring in some built-in effects. I'll show you how that sounds. We've got a bit of reverb, distortion, I think there's some chorus going on there as we fade into it. And we also have the ability to switch on some of the amp simulation. Got cabinets here we can plug into as well, switch them on. And pedals. We can get pretty distorted, gnarly tones out of that one. This on-off switch tells the amp to turn on or off. These are some nice pads. So let's have a look at Harmonic Dreams. Great textures, that. Really nice, ethereal feel to it. Let's have a look at Scary Mandolin. How scary can we go? Yeah, that's nice. Right. And again, we got actually loads and loads and loads of NKIs there as well to play with. If we back out of here, and we'll check out the pulses. Now these are in different types of patches, depending on how you like to use them. I don't think these are done by the sequence. No, these are already kind of programmed pulses that are baked in, so to speak. Now we can change the key down here. That's not really relevant for this patch because this is just using a single type of loop. And we can choose the different ones here. Single type of loop, which is then spanned across the keyboard. Choose a whole load of different ones down here. I mean, again, this just goes on forever. High bass 2. It's a great one for kind of tension, building things up. As you can see, pressing these key switches gives us quick access to turn on and off the different effects, which can help you evolve the sound in particular ways. Now, these will contain the same sounds, but they're based upon a different kind of way of playing them, if you like. Each key here is a different pulse. I like this sort of stuff for either combining pulses or to find one that you like and then kind of go back and put it somewhere else. But you can pitch each one of these using these keys as well. So you can stay on this and do what you need to do as well once you've found stuff. quite like kind of coming on the offbeat on some of them pulses to make them play against each other a little bit, can be quite good. Just need to get the timing right, which I do and don't, depending on what day of the week it is. And again, we've got key switches up here for that type of change of effects as we're going. Bass pulses we've got, or guitar pulses. I'm not going to play through every single patch. They're really nice. I mean, you can tell it's guitar, but you can tell it's just something a little bit different as well. This is one of the most interesting parts of the library for me, the Pulse Designer. This is where we can put different pulses on different sections of the keyboard. You can see here how they correspond, so the different colours correspond to each of the different pulses. You can have that one playing there, then further up. And they're already pitched. Now, the good thing is, all we do is click that. And this is where I said you can sometimes click these and choose different stuff. We can customize exactly what pulses we want. And then we can do whatever we want with them. So maybe pull the distorted one down a little bit. Start running out of hands at some point and you're trying to reach across like 10 octaves. It's a really neat way of building up your own customized pulses. Of course, you can kind of do what you want with the you can play with the different filters and panning. You pan that one that side and then you get the idea. They've included some of their own Pulse Designer examples as well. If we go into this folder here, you can see the various different ones they've come up with. This shows you what it's capable of, and of course you can kind of just go in and tweak these as well. These are just some nice little examples of what can be done. Subtle tension. Oh, I like that. Really cool, chuggy sort of sound. Right, let's back out of there and into the shimmers menu. These I really like. They just have this beautiful for want of a better word, shimmery quality to them. Like some of the pad sounds that we saw before, again you can fade these one to the other. It's fairly easy to customize them as well. Within here we have some stuff which is a little bit less normal. And they will come under the unnatural. We're in the all shimmer, so we're getting a bit of both here, but they're also divided up there. Sometimes we're going to be in this format where we have the 4 layers. It would be cool to be able to select your own ones here and make your own combination of 4. Maybe that'll come at a point in the future. But for now, these are pretty nice. Again, this is where the dystopian thing throws me slightly. It can do that, but it can do a lot more besides. This is interesting. We have a definite, you see here there are key switches and a definite demarcation of where one stops and another one ends. I think they'll work really nice with orchestral elements to add, you know, if you're playing a long pad or something like that, to add that, which just adds that little hint of movement. And from that previous more natural one, we're straight away into something a lot more otherworldly. The unnatural, there's loads more in here as well. Really great for hybrid type cues. It some has that swell that you want. You don't want a traditional kind of risey, but you want something a bit organic that has a unique quality to it. And that nicely programmed effects where we can just slide it up there and get that more epic feel. These real nice pissed shimmers. Let's have a look at these. Pissed has a different meaning in the UK to US, so we'll see which version this is. It's probably the US version, I think. If it was UK, we'd want it to be a lot more wobbly, should we say. These are great. I mean, I've heard these types of sound before, but not on this scale. That's what I really like about it. There's so many different types. It's never going to be a thing which features as a lead part, well, unlikely to be a lead part in a composition, but it can be the difference between a brilliant sort of climax and an average sort of climax. I think faded into a very static pad that's going to really make them come alive. So that's mostly us through the shimmers. A couple more categories to have a quick look at. These are the natural sequences, and a lot of the ensembles are made up of these. These are your kind of raw sounds, if you like. It's a really decently sampled acoustic guitar, so if you really want just something quite basic, this will do it. Maybe not as amazing as a $200 library just dedicated to acoustic guitars, but it's not too far off. Just lacks the articulations that you might be looking for, but for simple stuff, very good. Tonal percussive thing, that's going to be handy to use. Clean trailer guitar. Short bass. One that would probably work quite nicely with sequenced. We've got presets here for the sequences, which is interesting and useful. So we can put that in. I'll need to make sure we're on sequence for it. And I have that. There's a few buttons you need to make sure you press. Simple as that to make a nice little sequence going on. I have to say, in reference to the interface, it's a little crowded for me. It's one of my only main drawbacks of this instrument. There's a lot of controls on it, and I think they could have possibly used a bigger interface. Might have done the trick. And the graphics, well, some people are going to love them, some people aren't. I'm not so much a fan of this type of, I kind of like a cleaner, more elegant interfaces, but I know a lot of people love this kind of sci-fi-y, heavily graphic interfaces. It's just a taste call. We even got a ukulele, look at that. Wait. Plenty of reverb. You've got a few different reverb types there as well. Just select them like that. Most of these patches are soaked in reverb, which sounds nice, but I give you a little too much on most of them. Oops, gone too far. Let's do it this way. It's easier. Unnatural. Ambient guitar. These are great signature sounds for unusual leads. We've got pulses here, or sequences, maybe a better way of explaining it, and they're just made up of the basic sound of that muted guitar, which has then been sequenced. With the sequencer, we have a kind of basic note. an arpeggiator version. We have the advanced one as well, which adds some a pitch to the sequence as well. We can kind of change the pitch by moving these. And it's 4 parts, so we can get really quite complex. Especially when you've got 4 in a row, some can be going to sequencer, some cannot be going to sequencer, which enables a nice, it's infinite amount of opportunity. Let's look, this is storytelling sequence. Quite macabre type of sound. Very interesting. Now we've got, if we go back in here, we've got some metal stuff, right? So for your headbangers out there. That type of stuff. And we've got them in sequences as well. So these are using them samples and put into pretty fierce sort of stuff. Epic Race. You've got your lower mutes down there and then your fifths, a bit more ringy out ones at the top. So you can do loads, you know. You've got these nice basses, you've got these nylon, you've got these heavy metal guitars as well. Makes it really flexible. Tools and effects, last little section. This is a kind of miscellaneous, we don't know where else to shove these types of sound, I think, and comes into the field of sound design. Yeah, various wallops on guitars there. Scary scrapes. These are for your horror cue right there. There. Very interesting. We've got some chords. Whoa. Okay, I might have to turn this down just for this patch. Just some pure noise. Should it be required? And infinite whammy riser. I've really enjoyed exploring this library. It's innovative, interesting and inspiring. The title of it though, Dystopian Guitars, does it a disservice, as I think it's far more broader than that dark apocalyptic feel I was expecting. There's a very decent amount of light acoustic multi-samples here, including ukuleles, trangos, Spanish nylon guitars, that enables you to make quite delicate music. That's not to say it can't do heavy, hybrid sounds excellently, but it's arguably better appreciated as a really good all-round guitar library. There's some good staple multi-samples in there of quite realistic, natural instruments across the string family. And it also does heavy, dark, cinematic, morphed, heavily processed sounds alongside that. I really enjoyed how these sound design patches never get too synthy. They seem to retain this organic texture. That comes from the fact that, of course, all the sounds are real instruments. The 6 clearly categorised groups lends the library incredible scope to cover plenty of contemporary scoring styles, from sci-fi to nature documentaries, trailer music to light drama. It can do it all. I really enjoyed the shimmers, the ensembles and the pulse design in particular. Found them quite inventive. With that in mind, it's as adept at being an inspiration starter as it is to being a workhorse library or a problem solver. There's not much to grumble about with this library. My main bugbear was probably the GUI, where I wasn't a big fan of the graphic design on it, and also it just feels quite cramped because there's a lot going on. I think they could possibly expand it to a bigger interface and have a bit of a clearer layout. However, that said, the actual engine behind it allows for an immense deal of customization of the already vast number of included patches. I'd love to see the ability to create your own custom ensembles, like we can do with the custom shimmers. The price, it feels about right. It's $199. That's high enough to reflect the quality and size of what you get, but it's not out of reach, and it's exceptional value at the intro price and then no doubt in future sales. Pulsetta Dystopian Guitars is a flexible, deep and complex product, but just remember that within that dark world, a slice of utopia lurks also. Thanks for checking out the video. We'd love to know what you think about this library, so leave a comment below and let us know. Please like, share and subscribe. We always love your support here at Sample Library Review. And check the website samplelibraryreview.com for news, reviews and the weekly deal compressor.